Hey, Weather Weenies, meteorologist Serena Arnold. I want to finally talk about this upcoming hurricane season forecast. Let's cut right to the chase. The forecast for the 2024 hurricane season is the worst forecast that has ever been put out, meaning this is the most severe hurricane season that we will have ever seen, most likely, or at least that's what's being forecast, since the time we started monitoring this stuff. And there's two drivers behind this, and I'm going to fully explain them to you so you completely understand. One is the La Nina summer that we're going to be moving into after we're La Neutral or La Nada, as some people call it, at leaving El Nino, moving into La Nina phase. And then the second is just how damn warm it is. So let's start out just looking at numbers. This is from Colorado State University, which, like, landlocked state, what in the hell do they know about this? No. Top, like, tropical meteorology school, people in Florida will argue that theirs is good too, and that it is. But anyway, Colorado State University is the one that puts out these amazing forecasts. And so here there's two columns. There's the average for 1991 to 2020 and what's expected this year. And I just want you to see the deviations from normal here, meaning how much bigger these numbers are than these numbers. Typically have 14 named storms, forecasting 23 this year. Named storm days, so days where there's active named storms out there, about 70-ish on average, looking at 115 possibly this year. 11 hurricanes versus 7. Number of hurricane days, 45 versus 27. Major hurricanes, 5 major hurricanes forecast this year, where there's typically like 3. And to say there's scientific consensus out there would be an understatement. Here's the forecast above from Atmospheric G2 and the Weather Channel, where on average we have 14 storms forecasting 24, normally 7 hurricanes forecasting 11, normally 3 major hurricanes, Cat 3 or greater, forecasting 6. And the reason everybody's forecasts are very, very similar and everyone's saying this year is going to be especially bad is because of that La Nina and the warm ocean waters. So first things first, here is a graph showing typically the Caribbean ocean temperatures, and you can see in the little map up there in the corner of the area that we're looking at. You see what the average temperature should be for like this 30-year data set that they looked at. The black line is the average, the grays are all the ones that go into that. The red line is what 2023 was, and the blue line is what 2024 is. Do you see these differences? To put it into perspective for you, the Caribbean Ocean now is warmer now than it typically is at its warmest point during hurricane season. And it's a month ahead of the warmth that we saw last year, which was already record-breaking. This matters because warm water is the fuel that drives hurricanes. And this happens for a couple reasons. One, that warm ocean water creates a very strong temperature difference between the cooler air above it at higher elevations, and that warm ocean water also has more water vapor naturally occurring above it. Just this crazy forecast warmth would be enough to throw this hurricane season off into chaos world, but then we have La Nina. Now, to quickly review what La Nina and El Nino are, the eastern side of the Pacific, the side that comes off of the west side of Central America and South America, those ocean surface temperature waters, if they are cold, it's a La Nina, and if they're warm, then it's an El Nino. And by cold and warm, I mean like colder and warmer than average. Last summer was an El Nino summer, which is known for reducing hurricane activity in the Atlantic. We are going to be transitioning from an El Nino to a La Nina summer this year. The transition is probably going to be happening. We'll be in La Nina phase sometime around the end of the summer, mid-end summer, like July, August timeframe. And this increases hurricane activity. And the reasons why my weather weenies are going to understand. So hurricanes do not like wind shear, and wind shear is winds that change speed with height. So they're slow down here and they speed up as you go up, which creates a turbulent effect. Or you could have wind shear with respect to its direction. So the wind blows from here, and as it goes up in elevation, the wind changes direction, and so you get a rotation that way. That is all wind shear, and hurricanes don't like it when they're like just starting to form. La Nina reduces wind shear, and the reason being is because these ocean waters are a lot cooler than they should be. So you don't get a lot of rising motion over here, and you don't have this air that's like transported over to the Atlantic. So it actually creates calm conditions in the Caribbean. And El Nino is the opposite, where this water is warmer. You have more rising motion. That has to go up. It has to go somewhere. So it gets caught in that like 30-degree jet. It transports more air because of the Venturi effect, and it comes over here and it has to go somewhere, and you get more wind shear happening over here. And that's why in an El Nino year, hurricane season is typically reduced, and in a La Nina year, hurricane season is kind of elevated. As a reminder, the 2023 hurricane season was an interesting dynamic because we had much warmer ocean waters than what we had expected, which increases hurricane activity, but it was an El Nino year too. And so we were really interested in seeing how was this going to play out. Is it going to be a below average summer? Was it going to be above average? It ended up being just slightly above average. So now when we combine warmer ocean waters than we saw even last year, plus this La Nina effect, it's disastrous. So this is a year, if you are in a coastal location, if you are anywhere from the Gulf in Texas, all along through any side of Florida, up the eastern seaboard to New England, you need to be ready. Timing is everything, and it's no coincidence and I guess it just sort of happened this way, right? Where I've got a new book coming out called The Hurricane Story to help kids and families through really bad hurricane seasons. So Frances Fox is returning, and we are going to be talking all about hurricanes. And my favorite thing is we're even going to be talking about cloud physics and condensation nuclei in this book. We're going to be teaching kids and families some really detailed meteorological science in a way they can understand. So be on the lookout for that. Prepare for hurricane season. And if you have any questions, comment below or send me a message. I want to make sure you guys have all the resources you need this year.